I got fired because my coworker lied about me. I'll never forget that Tuesday. I walked into the office like I did every day, routine as usual. I even smiled at a few people on my way to the conference room. It was nothing special until I saw my boss sitting there waiting for me. I thought it was just another meeting, but the look on his face, no warmth. I didn't know it then, but that's when everything started falling apart. "We need to let you go. It's about your behavior lately." Those words hit me like a slap in the face. I felt dizzy, like the ground was shifting beneath me. But then the next words came, and they really wrecked me. "A coworker has raised serious concerns about you." It was like someone pressed mute on the whole room. I couldn't hear anything else after that. I couldn't breathe. It felt like the air was gone. My heart started pounding in my chest, and my thoughts were racing, trying to process what just happened. Who would do this to me? The questions hit me fast, and I couldn't even begin to form a sentence. Was it the new guy? Or was it Rachel? We had been close. Like really close. I had trusted her, told her things I never told anyone. Was it her? I felt like I was about to collapse. My hands shook so much, I could barely hold onto the sides of the chair. I wanted to scream, ask them to take it back, but nothing came out. All I could hear was my own heartbeat, thumping in my ears. I didn't know who betrayed me, but it didn't matter. The damage was already done. I walked out of that office in a daze. Everything felt off, like I was living in someone else's body. I tried to process it, but nothing made sense. It wasn't just the job I was losing, it was the trust I thought I had. Years of work, effort, and friendships, all shattered in a moment. What had I missed? I replayed every conversation, every small moment, wondering if there was a sign I didn't see. The uncertainty was like a heavy weight sitting on my chest. I didn't know who had done this to me, and it gnawed at me. I wanted to know. I had to find out. But where do I even start? I didn't know what the truth was anymore. The emotional storm inside me was unbearable. I was furious, heartbroken, confused all at once. I wanted to confront whoever did this to me. I wanted to shout at them, call them out for the lies, for the betrayal. But then, I wondered, what if I was wrong? What if it wasn't what I thought? What if I was just being paranoid? I didn't even trust myself anymore. Maybe I had missed something. Maybe I had been blind to the signs. Maybe I was the problem, not them. My mind kept spiraling, and I didn't know how to stop it. I thought about revenge, about confronting them head on, but something told me to hold back. What if it made things worse? What if I made a fool of myself? How do I move forward when I can't even trust my own judgment? That moment, when my boss said those words about the coworker, I knew everything had changed. But it wasn't just about losing my job. It was something bigger. It was about my reputation. I had always been the one people trusted. I had worked hard to build relationships, to be seen as someone who was reliable, someone who cared. Now, someone had used that trust against me. Someone had turned the story in their favor, and I was the villain. I needed to figure out how they did it, why they did it, and most importantly, who did it. My mind wouldn't stop. I kept thinking about every interaction, every moment I shared with people, especially with Rachel. I tried to think back to every time I felt uneasy or something felt off, but it was like trying to piece together a puzzle with missing pieces. I couldn't get a clear picture, but I wasn't going to stop searching. Not until I knew the truth. The more I thought about it, the angrier I became. I had trusted these people, trusted them like family. We'd shared laughs, lunches, personal stories. I had been there for them when they needed a shoulder to lean on, but none of that seemed to matter now. They had used my vulnerability against me. I felt like such a fool. The betrayal hit me harder than I expected. My stomach twisted in knots, and I kept thinking about how I'd always been the one who tried to help, the one who made an effort to connect with others. But all that effort meant nothing. It wasn't just about the lies they told, it was the way they made me feel. Like I was disposable. Like my value was only as good as the next lie they could spread about me. It was a cold, harsh feeling. I couldn't believe I had been so blind. I wanted to scream at the unfairness of it all, but I couldn't. What was the point? It didn't change what had happened. I had to figure out who did this. Rachel and I had been working together for almost 3 years. I remember when she first started shy, quiet, but she had this easy smile, and over time, we started talking more. It was simple at first, just casual stuff, the usual work chatter. But then, it started to feel like more. We'd sit together during breaks, share personal stories, talk about life outside of work. We got close. I thought we had a genuine bond, something real. She seemed to trust me, and I trusted her. She was the person I'd confide in when things were tough, someone who would listen, or so I thought. There was a connection between us, or at least, I thought there was. We shared everything, our personal struggles, our fears, even the parts of our lives we usually kept to ourselves. Rachel knew about my past relationships, my family drama, and the pressure I felt at work. She knew how much I cared about my job, how much I wanted to succeed. I thought she understood me in a way that no one else did. She was there for me when I felt alone, or so I believed. In a way, she was like the sister I never had, someone who I thought would always have my back. But things started to change. It was subtle at first, small shifts that I didn't pay attention to. Rachel stopped showing up to things that mattered. To her, she'd skip lunch breaks, avoid joining us for small talks, and when we did talk, it felt off. She wasn't as engaged, as warm as she used to be. She'd give me short answers, and when I tried to make plans, she always had an excuse. It didn't make sense. I thought maybe she was just busy, dealing with her own stuff. But the more she pulled away, the more I felt like something wasn't right. Still, I didn't say anything. I didn't want to rock the boat. We had these moments where I should have said something but didn't. I could feel the distance growing, but I didn't want to confront it. I didn't want to question it. What if I was overthinking it? What if I was just being paranoid? I kept telling myself that it would pass, that things would go back to normal. But it didn't. The silence between us grew, and I should have addressed it. I should have asked her what was going on, why she was pulling away. But I didn't. I kept it inside, hoping things would resolve themselves. Now, I wish I had said something. Maybe it would have made a difference. Maybe it wouldn't have, but I'll never know. As time passed, the tension between Rachel and me became harder to ignore. She started being cold with me in ways that didn't make sense. Texts were ignored, small talk was strained, and when we were in the same room, it felt like we were two strangers who had nothing in common anymore. The bond we once shared seemed like a distant memory. I couldn't pinpoint the moment it shifted, but I felt it, this invisible wall growing between us. It made me uneasy, but I still didn't speak up. I thought maybe it was work stress, maybe something else in her life, but the doubt kept creeping in. Something wasn't right, and it was all I could think about. It felt like I was walking in a fog, unsure of what was real and what was in my head. On one hand, I wanted to believe that it was just a phase, that Rachel was dealing with something personal, and I didn't need to make a big deal out of it. But on the other hand, I could feel the disconnect, the space between us growing wider every day. It was like there was an elephant in the room, and I couldn't bring myself to confront it. I kept asking myself, was I imagining it? Was I being too sensitive? Or was this really happening? The uncertainty drove me crazy. I had to know, but asking her directly felt like it would break whatever fragile connection we still had, and I wasn't ready for that. I didn't want to lose her, even though I could already feel it slipping away. The more time passed, the more obvious it became that I couldn't trust Rachel anymore. It wasn't just in the way she avoided me or the coldness in her voice when we did speak. It was in the way she started to look at me like I was a stranger, like I was a threat. And when I shared something with her, she'd brush it off, dismiss it, or make it seem like it wasn't important. I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt at first, but the cracks were too big to ignore. Every word from her mouth felt like a lie, like she was playing a part in some twisted version of our friendship. And it hurt. It hurt because I had given her my trust, my time, and my energy. The person I thought she was, the person I thought I knew, was slipping away, and it felt like I was watching it happen without being able to stop it. The trust we had was fading, and no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't bring it back. Then came the rumors. It started with small whispers, things I never said, things I didn't even know people thought of me. I remember hearing someone ask me, "Why did you say that thing about her?" And I didn't know what they were talking about. I never said anything like that. That's when the first piece of the puzzle started to fall into place. Rachel wasn't just distancing herself from me. She was actively turning people against me. The lies she told weren't just about my behavior, they were about me as a person. It was all a carefully crafted story, painting me in a light I didn't recognize. She was telling people I had said things I never did, making me look like the villain. And what hurt the most was that people believed it. They didn't even bother to ask me for my side of the story. Rachel's version was enough. The more I thought about it, the more the truth hurt. The betrayal was so deep, and it felt like a knife twisting in my chest. She wasn't just lying about me, she was destroying me. As the lies grew, so did Rachel's Manipulation. It wasn't just the stories she told. It was the way she made me doubt myself. I started second-guessing everything I said to her, every interaction. She'd twist my words, make me feel like I was the crazy one. I'd tell her something, and she'd respond with something like, "Oh, I thought you were talking about something else, or you don't remember saying that, do you?" Every time she did this, it chipped away at my confidence, made me feel like I couldn't trust my own thoughts. She gaslighted me, and I didn't even realize it until it was too late. I was questioning myself, questioning everything. Was I the problem? Was I losing my mind? The self-doubt she instilled in me was like a virus. I couldn't stop it, and that was exactly what she wanted. She didn't just want to turn people against me. She wanted me to turn against myself. The distance between Rachel and me grew so much that we couldn't even pretend to be friends anymore. The conversations we had, if you could even call them that, were empty. It was like we were two strangers forced to work in the same place. I couldn't bridge the gap between us, no matter how much I tried. I didn't even know how to reach her anymore. The person I had once trusted was gone, replaced by someone I didn't recognize. And it was my fault, right? Maybe I had missed the signs. Maybe I had been too trusting. But I didn't want to believe that. I didn't want to believe that I had been fooled by someone I considered a friend. I wanted to fix it, to go back to the way things were. But I knew deep down that it was too late. The trust was gone. And once that's gone, everything else falls apart. What was left between us? Nothing but silence and hurt. The tension couldn't be ignored any longer. I had to confront Rachel. I didn't know how, but I couldn't keep living in this limbo of not knowing where I stood with her. I couldn't take the lies, the manipulation, the silent treatment any longer. So, one day, I found myself standing in front of her. I was shaking, heart pounding in my chest, but I had to ask, "Is it true?" I didn't even know what I was asking exactly, but I needed the truth. Was it true that she had been lying about me? Was it true that she had been spreading rumors, turning everyone against me? For a moment, she didn't say anything. She just stared at me, and I thought, for a second, maybe I had imagined it all. Maybe it wasn't real. But then, she opened her mouth, and the truth hit me like a ton of bricks. Her words didn't make sense at first. "I never meant for it to go this far," she said. But what did that even mean? Of course, it had gone far. She had ruined my reputation, my career, and everything we once had. The lies, the manipulation, the way she made me look like the bad guy, it all made sense now. She didn't care about me. She never did. She used me to get ahead, used my trust to tear me down. And she had no remorse. Her tone was cold, like she didn't even care that she had destroyed me. It was all a game to her. A game I didn't even know I was playing until it was too late. And I was just a pawn, someone she could discard when she was done with me. That's when I realized it was never about friendship. It was about control. It was about power. And I had given it to her without even knowing. The betrayal hit me harder than I thought it would. In that moment, everything fell apart. The trust I had placed in her, the years of friendship, all of it was shattered. I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. How could I have been so wrong about someone I trusted so much? The anger was overwhelming. I wanted to scream at her, to tell her how much she had hurt me, but the words wouldn't come. I was numb. All I could feel was the emptiness of that moment, the realization that I had been deceived, that the person I thought was my friend had never cared. The trust we had, the bond we shared, was gone, and there was no getting it back. Anger, sadness, regret, they all hit me at once. I wanted to scream, to fight, to make her feel the pain she had caused. But I couldn't. Instead, I stood there, paralyzed by the weight of what I was hearing. How could someone I had been so close to turn on me like this? My heart felt like it was breaking all over again. The tears threatened to come, but I didn't let them. Not in front of her. I couldn't let her see how much she had hurt me. But inside, I was unraveling. I had trusted her with everything, and she had torn me apart without a second thought. The confusion I felt was unbearable. How had I not seen this coming? Was I really that blind? And in the middle of all of that, I realized one thing. I didn't know who I was anymore. I was no longer the person who trusted, who gave their all. I had to rebuild from the ashes, but I didn't know where to start. The fallout was worse than I could have imagined. I lost my job, I lost my friends, and most of all, I lost my sense of self. I had been betrayed by someone I had trusted with my heart. I felt so broken, so lost. My reputation was destroyed, and I couldn't fix it. It was like a bad dream, but it wasn't. It was real, and I had to live with the consequences of Rachel's lies. Every day, It felt like I was walking through a fog, trying to figure out how to move forward. I didn't know what to do. I had lost everything. My job, my friends, my trust in people. It was like I was starting from scratch, but even that felt impossible. I didn't know where to begin. How do you rebuild after something like this? How do you find the strength to start over when it feels like your world has been torn apart? The regret hit me hard. I kept thinking about all the moments I should have seen the signs, all the times I should have confronted Rachel, asked her what was going on, but I didn't. I ignored the little things because I didn't want to believe that someone I cared about could hurt me like this. The guilt was suffocating. I blamed myself for being naive, for not seeing it sooner. I should have trusted my instincts, but I let my guard down. And now, I had to live with the fallout of that mistake. The worst part? I couldn't even change it. The damage was done. I felt like I was drowning, and no matter how hard I tried to swim, I couldn't escape the weight of it all. The emotional fallout was worse than the loss of the job. It was the way everything felt like it had been stolen from me. The betrayal went deep. It wasn't just a job or a friendship, it was the trust I had given someone, the part of me I had shared, all used against me. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't stop feeling like I was less than I used to be. I questioned everything about myself. Was I not good enough? Was I not strong enough to see through the lies? The pain of betrayal lingered, and it hurt every day. It felt like a constant ache I couldn't escape. Every time I thought about Rachel, every time I thought about the situation, it was like a knife twisting deeper into my chest. I had to find a way to let go, but it felt impossible. I had to face the consequences of everything. My job was gone, my relationships were damaged, and I had to come to terms with the fact that people had believed Rachel's lies over me. I had no control over any of it. All I could do was try to rebuild. But rebuilding wasn't as simple as it seemed. My confidence was shattered. My sense of self-worth was gone. I didn't know how to go back to who I was before all this happened. Every day felt like I was facing a mountain I couldn't climb. How could I move forward when the world had turned its back on me? Moving forward felt impossible at first. It wasn't like I could just forget everything that had happened. I couldn't pretend it didn't hurt. But I knew I had to try. One step at a time, I tried to pick up the pieces of myself. I reached out to a few people who had been there for me, tried to repair the damage, but even that felt forced. I was no longer the person I once was. I was broken, but I wasn't going to stay broken forever. I couldn't. Life had to go on, even if I didn't know how. So, I pushed forward, even when it felt like I was crawling. Eventually, I realized that the only way I could heal was to let go. I had to let go of Rachel, let go of the job, and let go of the anger and hurt. It wasn't easy. It wasn't quick. But I came to understand that holding onto all that pain was just holding me back. It was like carrying a weight that I didn't need to carry anymore. I had to find peace with what happened, even if it didn't make sense, even if it wasn't fair. And in time, I did. I learned to accept that some things are out of our control, and the only thing we can control is how we move forward. Looking back, I learned a lot about myself. I learned how much I trusted people, how much I believed in the good in others. But I also learned that sometimes people don't deserve that trust. Sometimes the people you least expect can hurt you the most. And that's okay. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you a failure. It just means you've learned something about yourself that you didn't know before. I'm stronger now. I trust myself more than I did before. I don't let people walk all over me, and I don't let people get away with betrayal. I've learned to set boundaries, to protect my peace, and to never again give someone that much power over me. Self-awareness was my saving grace. I spent a lot of time reflecting on the choices I made, why I ignored the warning signs, and how I let someone take advantage of my trust. But I've come to understand that it wasn't my fault. People like Rachel make their choices, and those choices are not on me. What's important is that I grew from it. I'm stronger, wiser, and more in tune with my instincts now. I won't let anyone take me for granted again. And while the pain of betrayal will always stay with me, it doesn't define me. It's just another chapter in my story, one that made me who I am today. The biggest lesson I took away from all of this is how fragile trust really is. We give it away so easily, but once it's broken, it's almost impossible to fix. Betrayal cuts deeper than we expect. It hurts in ways that go beyond the surface. And when the person who betrays you is someone you care about, someone you trust, the pain is amplified. But that doesn't mean we should stop trusting. It just means we need to be more careful with who we give our trust to. Trust should be earned, not given freely. In the end, what this experience taught me is that the only person I can truly rely on is myself. People will come and go, but I'll always have me. I've learned that I can survive the hardest situations and come out the other side stronger. Life is messy, and people will disappoint you, but you have the power to choose how you respond. So, if you ever find yourself in a situation like mine, remember, your worth is not defined by anyone else's lies. You define your worth. You control your story. Don't let anyone take that from you. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever faced betrayal, or if you've gone through something similar, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Share your story, and let's support each other. And don't forget to subscribe for more real-life stories like this. I can't wait to share more with you.